In mythology, the Greek underworld is an other world where souls go after death. The original Greek idea of afterlife is that at the moment of death, the soul is separated from the corpse, taking on the shape of the former person, and is transported to the entrance of the underworld. The underworld itself, sometimes known as Hades, is considered the dark counterpart to the brightness of Mount Olympus, with the kingdom of the dead corresponding to the kingdom of the gods, a realm invisible to the living, made solely for the dead. According to Greek mythology, Persephone, daughter of Zeus, is the queen of the underworld. During the 6 months that Persephone spent in the underworld, her mother was sad and not in the mood to deal with the harvest. Thus, she would leave the earth to decline. These were the months of autumn and winter, when the land is not fertile and does not give crops. Whenever Persephone went to Olympus to live during the spring and summer, the land would become fertile again and fruitful. Therefore, one aspect of the myth was created to explain the change of the seasons and the eternal cycle of nature's death and rebirth. Hel, spelled H-E-L, means hidden, and was the Old Norse underworld goddess that ruled over the identically named Hel, the place where many of the dead were said to dwell. Alatu is an underworld goddess that was worshipped by the Carthaginians. Carthage was the center or capital city of the ancient Carthaginian civilization on the eastern side of Lake Tunis in what is now Tunisia, the North African nation located in the southern Mediterranean, one of the most affluent cities of the ancient world. The religion of Carthage was a direct continuation of the Phoenicians and the ancient Canaanites that included child sacrifice. While the Phoenician pantheon was presided over by the father of the gods, Baal Hammon, a goddess was the principal figure in the Phoenician pantheon called Tanit or Tangu, meaning the sun, but equivalent to the moon goddess Astarte, later worshipped in Roman Carthage. She was also known as Tango, meaning land of the lions, and was sometimes depicted with a lion's head. The ancient Berber people also adopted her cult, and to the ancient Egyptians, her name means land of Neith, a goddess of wisdom. In Carthage, Tanit's symbol can be found in a Tophet, a name given to the place where sacrifice was conducted, and is sometimes interpreted by some academics as a woman raising her hands. Some researchers have disputed the evidence pointing to child sacrifice, with one study interpreting the Carthage Tophet as a child cemetery of children that died naturally. That said, the evidence, in my estimation, becomes overwhelming when combined with ancient literary sources, such as the Bible, where accounts of child sacrifice can be compared with similar ones from Greek and Latin sources, speaking of the offering of children by fire as sacrifices in the city of Carthage. For example, Plutarch mentions the practice, as does Tertullian, Clitarchus, historian of Alexander the Great, Orosius, Philo, and Diodorus of Sicily, who wrote, quote, "In former times, the Carthaginians had been accustomed to sacrifice to this god the noblest of their sons, but more recently, secretly buying and nurturing children that had sent these to the sacrifice." According to Justin, the Latin writer who lived under the Roman Empire, the Carthaginians accepted the Persian Empire's instructions to stop sacrificing children and eating dogs. Tertullian, in about the year 200, states that although the priests who sacrificed children had been crucified by Romans, quote, "that holy crime persists in secret," end quote. Of course, sacrifice was also a custom in Mesoamerica, where the Aztecs would often perform the ritual with prisoners captured in war. The most common form of sacrifice was to open the chests of the victim and rip out their still beating hearts. Aztecs weren't the only pre-Columbian Americans that sacrificed people. Mayans did that too, as did the Inca. While this practice is no longer done in modern Mexico, the goddess Kali still receives some sacrifices from time to time in modern India, especially in remote rural provinces, with beheadings being one of the preferred methods. Many are quick to point out that the Bible denounces the practice of sacrifice, with the Vatican regarded by millions as a symbol of Christianity. But what is the ancient history of this location in Italy, and what are the origins of its name? In actuality, the Vatican is neither Latin nor Greek, and it cannot be traced to the Bible either. While the word Vatican is associated with the Church, it predates Christianity and is closely linked to the Etruscan goddess Vatica. Located in Rome, the Vatican is a symbol of the Roman Catholic faith, and as a city-state was founded on February 11, 1929, as the world's smallest independent country by both population and area, with a population of around 840 and an area of about 108 acres, but with an influence over millions of people that span the globe. Yet, as with many other Christian traditions and customs, the Vatican has a pagan origin, and about 3,000 years ago, the Etruscans settled the region of central Italy, known as Etruria, and ruled that part of the Mediterranean before the rise of Rome. While most of the Etruscan literature and mythology has been lost, we do know that they built a large cemetery on a hillside slope outside their ancient city in the area that later became the city of Rome. And the guardian of this necropolis was the Etruscan goddess Vatica, goddess of the underworld, whose duty was to keep a watching eye on those who had passed away. It seems that the Etruscan beliefs about the afterlife were similar to those of ancient Egyptians, where treatment of the deceased remains was important for survival and a successful journey to the next life. According to Etruscan mythology, Vanth was a death demon that attended from the moment of death until entry to the underworld, usually depicted with wings and had bearded snakes entwined around her arm. In addition to being goddess of the underworld, Vatica was also a bitter-tasting grape used to make wine that grew on the slope. When people ate it, they experienced hallucinations, and a word passed on into Latin as a synonym for prophetic vision. The Latin word Vaticaner means foretell or prophecy, from vadis, poet, teacher, oracle. So while according to the Catholic Encyclopedia, the origin of the name Vaticanus is uncertain, other sources claim that it comes from the ancient Etruscan language, and the Vatican Hill takes its name from the Latin word Vaticanus, alluding to the drug-induced oracles, or fortune-teller priestesses, which delivered their prophecy there in ancient times. The area, which is now St. Peter's, thus became known as Vatican Hill. Another proposed connection to the word Vatica relates to the tika, or dot, of jewelry Hindu women place on their forehead to indicate the third eye, and corresponds to the pineal gland, and also related to psychic phenomena, intuition, and the Hindu sixth chakra. In addition to melatonin, the pineal gland is thought to produce a molecule known as DMT, a powerful hallucinogen, and appears to be related to dreaming and near-death experiences. It's interesting to note that some Hindu monasteries are also called Vatika, which is used to describe a religious center. My name is Robert Sepehr. I'm an anthropologist. You can find my published books on Amazon. They make a great gift. Thank you so much to those who support me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it. There should be a link below. Kindly share this video if you found it informative. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe, and click on the notification bell for updates. I look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments section. Please have a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again soon.